Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Let's help you fix that aim with a Flatline and talk about how to improve your aim and recoil control. If you find this video helpful, be sure to use code Dazs at checkout for a discount at G Fuel or DxRacer. Also leave a thumbs up because every like, watch, view, anything helps support the channel. So now that's out of the way, let's get right into it. First, we're going to cover FOV and how this does not impact recoil, and how the recoil pattern in Apex Legends is always the same and consistent. If you have this covered and you've already watched my other guide, I'm going to put a timestamp on screen so you know where to skip to talk about the flatline, the basics, and recoil. Again, I do this for every single guide as it's important and vital for learning the recoil and overall improving your aim in Apex Legends. So real quick, let's talk about FOV, aim sensitivities, and that impact on your aim and recoil. Note that when you ADS, your sensitivity does change in Apex Legends. It scales down your sensitivity and each zoom is slower depending on the zoom. An example would be a 1x, and then a 2x is even slower, then a 3x is even slower, and then you kind of get the point. But you can change your sensitivity based on the sight as shown here on the menu. So you can make this faster than your hipfire, or you can make it slower than your hipfire. It's really your own personal preference, and because everyone watching this guide uses different sensitivities on PC and controller, use what will help you personally best to control the recoil. There's no right or wrong answer here, it's all going to be personal preference. Because high versus low has its own pros and cons and can require its own video, and really own video essay really. But some basics to remember. Running a high sensitivity will require finer movement with your fingertip grip, and it's harder to control, but can help with fast movement and reaction times and handling that recoil. Lower sensitivities require a larger movement, but can help with precision. On a controller, this is going to be way worse for you because obviously your target acquisition is going to be much slower. So my advice, find comfort. You really got to be comfortable when you shoot. You want to maintain speed along with that too, so kind of find that middle area. And of course, adjust your sights if you prefer, depending on your intended goal. An example of that would be you want to snipe and you want to make sure you land that first shot. So make sure that your sensitivity is nice and slow so you can make sure you land it properly. And of course, stick with the sensitivity for a while so you can develop strong motor skills if you're still under the basics and are still learning. It's okay to make a sensitivity change though. Some people are always afraid to do so. As you go through your journey for aim, your aim is going to be different than others, and if you have an understanding and say, hey, this may not be for me, make a change as long as you understand it, and that's kind of the crux and the biggest thing here. Now onto FOV as a brief explanation. This is important to understand as it carries onto all of my guides. Apex Legends applies your base FOV when you aim down sights and scales it. So if you at base use 101 FOV, again, same premise, 1x starts to zoom in, 2x zooms in more, 3x, and so forth. Some games allow you to turn ADS FOV off so it doesn't start to scale it. It just stays at one base FOV but does zoom in, but Apex Legends does not. So for you to control recoil, you must understand that the recoil pattern in Apex Legends does not change. Here's a quick example. I'm going to use a hollow zoom with the flatline and a 2x, but also the lowest FOV setting so you can see it better. Notice that the spray is always the same for the flatline. Now, to apply this logic of FOV, I'm going to use a high FOV. I'm going to put it all the way to max at 110 with a 2x zoomed in. And you see the recoil pattern appears smaller, but it's still the same. Now I'm going to go back to a now low FOV, 2x, and the recoil pattern seems larger. Notice that the space in which the recoil pattern is occupying is the same. I'm trying to start from the same point so you can obviously see that. So a quick example, just so you understand what FOV is doing. Imagine you have a camera. It has a zoom feature, and your friend is super far away waving. But you zoom in on him, and now he appears to be larger, or the FOV is more zoomed in, right? The movement is bigger, and he's moving faster. But in reality, he's not. Your friend is still doing the same movement. Nothing has changed. This is the impact of FOV. So the next question I always get is what FOV is best, and the same premise applies. There's pros and cons. There's no right or wrong here. A high FOV can make objects appear really small. Depending on how high you go, other objects appear to move slower, makes you appear to move faster, and you can visually see more around you. Low FOV makes objects appear larger, bigger. Other objects appear to move faster because you're more zoomed in, and makes you appear to be slower, again, because you can see less around you. That's the downside of low FOV, is that you will get less information. Some people try to get the best of both worlds and use stretch resolution. The sacrifice is that it just looks awful, looks stretched. I personally run max FOV in Apex so I can see what's going on around me. So the next question you have is, what is better for aiming and recoil control? Again, subjective. Are you running a high sensitivity? If so, perhaps a high FOV so it appears on screen and it matches your movement, right? Or running a low sensitivity, so maybe a low FOV so it matches your bigger strokes of what you're using for recoil. This is all more visual stimuli, and no one really has a right answer for you because you're going to have to match visually what makes sense for your brain. But remember, the recoil pattern does not change, and your hand movement is not changing if you match your hip fire to, let's say, a 1x or 2x. Okay, now we got that concept down. Let's just get right into talking about the Flatline and the basics. Flatline is a gun that utilizes heavy ammo, and following ammo counts in mag size as well as some max damage, just for general information. So it starts out without a mag at 20 bullets and does a total of 380 damage. The next one is the tier 1, white mag. It does a total of 456, and again, that's 25 in the mag. Now tier 2, bump up, 28, is now 532 total damage. And of course, if you got the purple mag, tier 3, is 570 total damage. Now, for the Flatline recoil pattern, I am personally using a 2x zoomed in so you can visually see the recoil. There is no barrel, so the recoil pattern does not change because of the barrel, obviously, because there is none. So I will use the largest mag so you can learn the whole pattern. And just remember, if you have a smaller mag, just understand that the recoil is just cutting off a little earlier. What you see is my preferred FOV again, max FOV, and I match my sensitivity to my hip fire, which is now 15.5 inches per 360. I did used to use 13.42, but I switched just a few days ago, and this is kind of feeling a lot better for me. So let's fire away here at full speed. Let's break it down again afterwards in slow motion. We're going to play in a loop and freeze frame as needed, but the recoil kicks up, then goes to the left, and then switches quickly to the right, holds right for a little bit, then left, and then ends at the very end right. You may notice that the gun has a vertical kick, but is much less than, let's say, the recoil of the R99. The obvious is to pull down the required amount, depending on your sensitivity. So notice that the Flatline is unique and makes it really difficult when you're trying to hit targets really far away because you're dealing with strictly horizontal recoil. And when you're tracking somebody, it can be really, really difficult to hit somebody, especially if they're running into a straight line, you're trying to hit them, or even if they're just slightly moving left and right as they're running away from you, because horizontally your bullets are flying left and right. So remember, no matter the sensitivity, as you are further away, the movement required to control the sensitivity is actually really less than you think. Just because the gun kicks a ton does not mean it requires insane movement to compensate for the recoil. So just again, where the Flatline really struggles is long range when you have that horizontal, because it's not simply the vertical where it's predictable of where the shot is going to land. It's just going to obviously keep going left, right, sway, which is not a recoil that most people are comfortable with. But a plus side is that the heavy guns do slow, so once you hit them, so it does make it a bit easier to hit somebody, obviously when there's a kick going left and right. This obviously does not affect the larger characters like Gibraltar or Caustic. The power of the Flatline is more for close to mid-range. I have seen it successful with a higher zoom with the 3x, so you can really see the kick left and right. But up close, other guns have a faster TTK, which results in the PK, Prowler, and R99 becoming a lot more effective because of the amount of DPS it's dishing out. An example of that encounter is if somebody ran at you with an R99 and a PK, and you have a Flatline and, let's say, another weapon that doesn't have as fast of a TTK, then you're probably going to lose the encounter, because by the time you can get your full mag out, you're probably going to die. But still, if you land headshots, this thing can be absolutely brutal and amazing at close quarters. Some real quick tips. Remember to keep your hand fluid and relax when controlling recoil. The reason why is because tension causes fatigue. 1, it's bad for you. 2, because the movement produced by the gun is fluid, and you want to match that fluid movement. It's just not randomly spiking in random directions. You can control where it's moving to, so keep your movement fluid to counteract the recoil. It may seem and look counterintuitive to say, but tension obviously does create speed and momentum, so just find the balance. Just don't death grip your trigger finger or the controller, because it's going to make tension and it's going to be too high and the motion is going to be jerky and you can't speed up while tracking. So now, here's some quick exercises to really practice with the Flatline. First, pick your preferred sight. I'm going to grab the HCOG real quick because that's my preferred one. Practice the recoil based on the landing platforms to create some distance. That's the best way to practice. Practice recoil close quarters, then mid-range, then long range, and And then you can kind of get creative and then shoot super far away, which is really, really difficult to maintain. It's doable, trust me. And once you really nail this, it's doable. And of course, you want to go extreme because you're shooting something a million miles away that you can't even see. So it's really up to you. But I say do this for maybe 5 minutes per range and let it really sink in. Maybe do it for about a week. Once muscle memory is built in, you honestly just need to do warm-ups and you pretty much know the gun. I usually get responses in the comment section saying, well, it's too much to think about. I can't think about recoil when I'm in the moment. Well, don't think about it. Once you've practiced this gun enough, you're going to know how it kicks. You're going to know that it goes, obviously, to the left, then to the right, then left, then right. And so you know where it's going to kick and where it's going to give you a hard time. If you remember that, you're already one step ahead against every other gamer within Apex Legends. Obviously, matching the two in time, when you could also strafe to counteract the recoil, but that takes time and movement, and it's easy to learn. So when the recoil kicks left, right, you can move opposite direction and learn the recoil. And obviously, as you practice the recoil in a non-stress environment, when you're under pressure, you're going to become clouded and not remember it. But the solution is practice until you build confidence. And obviously, more games, actually just playing naturally builds up confidence, right? But practice, because give everything time and you will succeed. I really hope you guys found this video helpful. I am uploading a lot more gameplay. I had some gameplay in the background. I apologize that it's not Flatline footage. I had a really nice round with... I got like 6 kills right off the bat, and I just kind of wanted to showcase it for you guys. I thought it was really cool. Kind of got that in the last few days. Don't forget to use code Dazs at G Fuel or DX Racer for a discount. I really want to thank you guys. Next, I'm going to probably cover the R301. I'll continue to cover all the guns so you can see the recoil. I think this will be a great video to go back to as a guide so you can see it, so you don't have to, go do it yourself in the test range, and you can obviously pause the video to see where it kicks, where it doesn't kick. That's been my whole intention, because honestly, I did a guide on the R99, and I even needed to look back and like, what is it doing again? But anyways, once you have it in your system, it's fantastic. I know I rail people all the time with the R99. Flatline, I honestly need some work. That's one gun that I don't pick up that often, but I think it's really strong because it does so much damage to headshots. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.